Discover the heartwarming moment a billionaire found life-changing surprises in a little girl's laughter. James Parker stood towering above Los Angeles, trapped behind the polished glass walls of his high-rise office, surrounded by all the trappings of success that he had once believed were everything. At 42, he commanded boardroom meetings with a focus and ferocity that left little room for doubt. Yet, as he looked down at the bustling streets below, his heart felt heavy. It was a vibrant city, bursting with life, but all he felt was an aching loneliness echoing off the pristine surfaces around him. The world outside pulsed with passion, families, and dreams, but James was locked away, battling a haunting disconnection from his roots. On a radiant afternoon, he decided to bring groceries to a local food bank, a generous act that had become a routine after realizing he could help impact lives beyond his boardroom. The smell of fresh produce wafted through the air as he entered, a stark contrast to the sterile scent of his office. That's when he first heard her laughter. It rang out like a bell, light and carefree, pulling him toward the entrance. Outside, amidst the organized chaos of the community interactions, sat an 8-year-old girl named Lily. With her knees drawn to her chest, she was lost in a world of color, drawing with sidewalk chalk. Colors spilled across the ground, brightening up the tired concrete. James couldn't help but smile as he approached her. Her pure, unfiltered joy was a punch of life that jolted his heart. "Look at my butterfly," she exclaimed, her eyes sparkling with pride. A bright purple butterfly adorned the sidewalk, its delicate wings magically capturing the essence of childhood dreams. At that moment, the deep cracks of James's heart seemed to mend just slightly, the chasm of isolation dissolving into the warmth of her uncomplicated happiness. Before we continue, I need to let you know about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system, and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, hit that bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can drop a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, let me know in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let's continue. But as the vibrant days unfolded, a darkness loomed over their budding friendship. News trickled in drastic budget cuts that threatened the local school funding, where Lily and countless other kids found inspiration and hope. James's mind raced, crafting plans to advocate for a corporate initiative aiming to help the community. He envisioned surely that it could be a bridge to connect him back to these vibrant lives. Yet the pulse of resistance surged around him. His affluent peers scoffed at his idealism. Meanwhile, the community eyed him with skepticism, seeing him as a wealthy outsider who was disconnected from their struggles. The tension grew palpable, igniting flames of debate around merit and opportunity. Doubts plagued James. His wealth had created a fortress, isolating him even deeper. Each resistant glance from the community felt like a reminder money couldn't build trust or earn respect. But it was Lily's laughter, her vibrant spirit, reminding him that true change beckoned from the heart, not the checkbook. As the pivotal town meeting approached, James stood at a crossroads, the weight of unmade decisions pressing heavily on his chest. Then came a moment of revelation. Surrounded by expectant eyes, he realized what family, resilience, and community really meant. Would he rise, or retreat back into privilege? A little girl's laughter pushed him into a reckoning, the real question echoing in his mind. What would truly define his legacy? The meeting loomed ahead, and James felt the nerves twist in his stomach. Here he was, a billionaire stepping into a world vastly different from his own. The community center was far from the gloss of his high-rise office. It buzzed with murmurs, laughter, and hopeful chatter among neighbors. It felt alive, raw, and loaded with an energy he had long forgotten. James arrived early, replaying his thoughts like echoes in his mind. With each echo he wrestled with doubts. Would they really listen? Or would they see him only as a face of false promises? The community hall was decorated with colorful banners, hand-painted by children too excited for what lay ahead. But there, with old tables and mismatched chairs, he felt like the odd one out. As the clock ticked closer to the start time, the crowd thickened. Adults exchanged brief nods, while teenagers laughed, tossing crushed soda cans into a nearby recycling bin. James glanced at Lily, who bounced through the entrance with the brightness of 1,000 suns. She spotted him and waved, her smile cutting through the tense air. The warmth of her excitement offset his anxiety as she skipped to his side. "Are you going to help us keep our school open?" she asked, eyes wide and earnest. The question caught him off guard. So simple, yet so profound. The pressure of the moment settled on his shoulders. "I'm going to try my best," he replied, kneeling to meet her gaze. "But I need you and the other kids to help too. Can you do that?" Her laughter rang out once again, mingling with the chatter of people around them. "Of course. We're all in this together." That very moment rekindled something in James, flickering like a fragile flame. It was a reminder that helping wasn't just about money. It was about the spirit and hope, and standing by those who needed support. Then it began. The town hall meeting kicked off with introductions and varying degrees of skepticism aimed at him. All too evident in crossed arms and narrowed eyes. But he stood firm, sharing his vision for the future. He was met with pushing back, then whispers of discontent. It pierced through him, tightening around his heart. Each rejection a reminder of the rift that separated him from real life. Yet, with every mention of Lily's school, his voice grew stronger. "We have the chance to make a difference, to be a bridge. If we work together, we can ensure our children don't lose their dreams." The fear of being heard undercut by another inclination this was bigger than his wealth. The buzz in the room shifted slightly. Curious faces began to lean in. He could see that they were starting to engage. But then he spotted an older man at the back, shaking his head. "Talk is cheap," he called out. "What do you plan to do? Write us a check?" James felt the weight of truth in those words. His chest tightened as he pondered the real cost of change. It wasn't about just throwing money. It was about action, commitment, and community. The ghost of his privileged background loomed like a shadow. But Lily smiled at him from the side, her innocent belief lifting his spirits. "Let us brainstorm projects. Ideas where all of us can come together to fundraise, to advocate," he proposed. As the meeting progressed, something shifted. With every struggle to make himself understood, more people began sharing their concerns. Soon, ideas bounced across the room as discussions ignited like fireworks. James felt a wave of emotion. He was on the brink of connection, standing at the edge of something transformative. The laughter of Lily became the soundtrack of his resolve, steering him forward. Would this meeting seal his fate? Allow him to step fully into this new chapter? Or would the world he came from pull him back into silence? Beneath the flickering lights, the hopes of a community hung in the balance, waiting for a definitive moment of change. And as he took a deep breath, ready to address the crowd once more, a single question left his lips, trembling with earnestness. "Are we ready to be the village our children truly deserve?" As James spoke, the room fell into a hush. For a heartbeat, time stretched, and he could feel every set of eyes locked onto him, each gaze simmering with hope and skepticism. He could hear Lily's soft giggle just behind him, but the older man's scowl pierced through the atmosphere like a cold wind. "Let me remind you," James replied, finding steadiness in his voice, "this isn't just about the money I can provide. We're talking about building something together, a school that's more than just a building. It's a place where dreams can be nurtured." A woman stood up, her hands resting on her hips, brow furrowed. "Our kids need stability now, not grand promises. We can't just wait and hope." James felt an ache in his chest. He wanted to shout out that he understood that it'd been years since he felt the tremor of urgent need. "I understand your frustration," he said, his voice softer now. "But please, allow me to show you what I can do. Together, we can fortify our community." With every interaction, he marveled at the resilience embedded in their voices. Each person had a story, a raw edge that touched him deeply. He understood this was not just about the kids. It was about the pulse of the community. It was about them. He felt their stories bloom inside him, hurting and swelling as if they branded his soul. A soft hand brushed against his arm. It was Lily again, her eyes reflecting the innocence and sincerity that dimmed the harshness of doubt. "What if we have a talent show?" she suggested, her enthusiasm lighting up the tension. "We can have skits. And maybe bake sales too." The whole room turned as she shared her vision, laughter spilling forth, pulling every heart into the moment. James smiled, the flicker of hope igniting a flame. "That's it," he said, leaning towards Lily, his voice lifting. A talent show can showcase the gifts these kids have. We can charge admission and raise money for the school. We can involve families, have the kids fundraise through their passions. The idea sparked life in the room. People began nodding, mumbling excitedly as new thoughts swirled around, the spirit of connection and collaboration rising higher than before. The heaviness melted away, replaced by a rhythm of shared purpose. Baking contests, shouted a man from the back. Talent competitions, community dinners, echoed a woman, eyes wide with excitement. Swept up in the moment, James felt his heart swell. These weren't just ideas, they were lifelines. They were the keys to nurturing not just a school but a community where children could thrive. As the chatter grew louder, James stood aside, watching as faces transformed, arms uncrossed, smiles breaking through the hesitance. He felt purposeful, embraced by the warm colors of camaraderie. The barriers were coming down, even if just a little. He was still the outsider, the deep-pocketed stranger. Yet here among them was the promise of something extraordinary. A voice broke through his thoughts. Lily again, her small voice resonating like a bell in the newfound spirit. "Can I sing a song at the talent show?" she asked, glancing at him, eyes shining. "You can do anything you want, Lily," he responded, unable to hold back his admiration for her contagious enthusiasm. As the meeting progressed, a vision began to crystallize in their minds. A vibrant celebration where the community could come together, showcase their talents, and breathe life back into their dreams. But as excitement surged, a familiar shadow of doubt crept in. Would they all feel the same when challenges arose? How long would this energy last before reality kicked back in? A twinge of concern formed in his gut, the realization that he couldn't do this alone replaying like a haunting echo. In that moment of reflection, he suddenly realized he needed this community just as much as they needed him. He turned his gaze back towards the audience, ready to rally them again. "This is just the beginning, isn't it? Together, we can breathe more life into our hopes. Let's remember each of us counts, each voice matters, and together, we will not just dream, we'll act." But deep down a chilling thought lingered. What if they faltered? What if this dream wasn't strong enough to withstand the reality lurking just outside the community center doors? As the laughter and plans swirled around him, one question remained poised in the air as they began to set their dreams in motion. Could a billionaire truly understand the weight of their fight? James stepped outside the community center, the warm evening air wrapping around him like a comforting blanket, but the faint chill of reality still lingered in his mind. The laughter and chatter echoed behind him, but he felt the weight of unspoken worries sitting heavily on his chest. Could they really accomplish their dreams? Could he help them? With Lily's bright face still vivid in his memory, he walked down the street, watching families move about, gathering in groups on porches, sharing stories and laughter. Their warmth was palpable, yet the struggles beneath the surface shadowed the vibrancy. It was a reminder of what was at stake. In a small corner of his heart, he knew he had to dig deeper to connect beyond the dollars and dreams. As he strolled, he spotted an elderly man sitting on a bench under a flickering street lamp, deep lines etched across his weathered face. Something about him drew James in. Approaching slowly, he saw the man glance up, uncertainty giving way to curiosity. "Mind if I sit?" James asked, gesturing toward the empty spot next to him. The man nodded, his eyes scanning James as though assessing whether to let him into a world he seemed a stranger to. "You're the one with the big ideas," the man remarked after a moment, voice gravelly with age. "Heard a little about you back there. You think this can work?" "I hope so," James replied, his heart racing. "But I still need to learn. I want to understand what matters most to this community." The old man's gaze sharpened. "You want to know what matters? Listen to the stories. Every wrinkle on our faces has a tale. Behind each locked door, a struggle or a triumph. But it's the kids, they're the hope. They see a future we sometimes forget to believe in." James felt something shift inside him. It was more than just understanding their needs. It was about genuinely embracing their reality, diving into their stories. "What do you think that future looks like?" The man sighed, searching the horizon as if trying to catch a glimpse. "Some days it's bright. Others, it's a fog that just one tea lift. But if we built that school, you'd give everyone a reason to believe again. You know what kids need? His voice trembled slightly. They need someone who believes in them before they can believe in themselves. That struck James hard. He could picture Lily's hopeful eyes, sparkling with dreams. If only he could light that spark in every child. Every family. I want to just bring money. Then, he said, breath catching in his throat. I want to bring understanding, connection, every bit of support I can give. The old man turned, and for the first time, a soft smile broke through his serious demeanor. That's the spirit. Just remember, once you dive into their lives, don't expect grand gestures or instant change. Small victories matter. Celebrate them. They'll come, but it takes time. As they continued to talk, the night deepened, and the light of the street lamp flickered above them. James felt inspired, a fresh determination brewing within him. He was starting to grasp the pulse of the community. Every word was a brushstroke painting a larger picture. With the conversation fading into the backdrop of the bustling street, the compulsion to act began to swell. The pieces were coming together, and he could almost visualize the talent show, the laughter, the music, the pride swelling in parents' chests. When he finally stood to leave, the old man placed a weathered hand on his arm. You're on the right path, son. Just remember, dreams are built on relationships, not just bricks and mortar. His words lingered with James as he walked away, determination blending with trepidation. He had so much work to do. Time wasn't a luxury he could waste. As the feeling of purpose surged within him, another unsettling thought crept in. Had he truly prepared himself for what lay ahead? What if, in diving deeper into their lives, he unearthed challenges he wasn't ready to face? The unsettling question stayed with him as he made his way back. A part of him knowing that the real battle was just beginning. With every step he took, he realized that he wasn't just fighting for a school. He was preparing for a journey into the very heart of a community that could either uplift or tear him down. In that moment, an undeniable truth emerged. He was about to find out if he had what it takes to balance hope and reality, intertwined like dreams in a delicate dance. Would he be brave enough to confront the shadows lurking in their stories? The next morning dawned with a bright sun filtering through James's window. He awoke with a newfound sense of purpose. Today he wouldn't just ponder hopes and dreams. He would start to understand the community as heartbeat. After a quick breakfast, he grabbed his notebook and headed out, determined to engage more deeply with the residents. He decided to visit the local park, a hub for children and families alike, where laughter floated in the air like music. As he approached the park, he saw kids of all ages running, their carefree shouts mingling with the rustling leaves. Families lined the picnic tables, sharing meals packed in red and blue lunchboxes. It warmed his heart. This was the life he wanted to nurture. James walked through the park until a little girl caught his eye. She sat alone on a swing, her legs dangling above the ground. Her silent gaze seemed lost in thought, a stark contrast to the joyful chaos around her. Curiosity pulled him closer. Hi there, he said as he approached her. What's your name? She looked up, slightly startled, then whispered, Lily. He chuckled lightly. Well, that's a beautiful name. Do you like swinging? She shrugged. Sometimes. Are you waiting for someone? No. Not really, she replied, her fingers tracing patterns in the sand below her. There was an air of quiet honesty about her, as if the world around her was simply too loud. James felt a tug at his heart. Can I swing with you? Lily nodded, and he settled onto the swing beside her. Do you come here often? She nodded again, this time with a hint of a smile. After school sometimes. The swings help me think. What do you think about? About stuff. Her gaze drifted to a group of children playing tag nearby. There's a hint of isolation wrapped in her words. No longer reserved, James took the chance to share a piece of himself, his own vulnerability reflecting on her face. Sometimes I think about my plans, big ideas I want to make happen. But it can be hard too, he confessed, watching her closely. Lily turned to him, interest now sparkling in her eyes. Big ideas? Like what? He hesitated, then decided to share. I'm trying to help build a school for kids like you. Somewhere fun and creative where you can all grow and learn together. But I need to know what you think would make that school special. She pondered, biting her lip. It should have a playground that actually has swings. A library full of books with pictures. And a place where you can be happy. James wrote her words down, each point striking like music notes in a symphony. What else? Lily's face lit up. And we would have music, too. Everyone should learn to sing. And art like painting and drawing. Lots of colors. His heart soared. Each idea was a star illuminating the potential for joy. That's amazing. You're going to help me make this school a place everyone wants to be. Lily looked shy again, a flicker of uncertainty crossing her face. You really think so? Yes, he said earnestly. You're going to inspire so many kids. I need people like you who have a vision. The moment hung between them, filled with possibilities. Just then, a commotion erupted nearby. A small skirmish broke out between two boys over a soccer ball, their shouts rising in pitch. Lily's gaze shifted, worry taking root in her expression. In that instant, James realized he had a lot to learn, not just about schools and facilities, but about the everyday life of these children. This was also part of their reality, part of the stories that shaped them. Let us go see what is happening, he said, standing up from the swing, reaching his hand out to her. As they walked toward the chaos, he felt a mix of excitement and anxiety. Was he ready to step into the fray? To dive fully into the lives around him? But just as they reached the boys, a voice rang out. Hey, it's not just a ball. It's more than that. James turned to see a girl emerge from the crowd, fists clenched, her voice fearless. What was she about to say, and how would it impact this moment? The tension in the air thickened, and his senses ignited with anticipation. Could he find a way to navigate these conflicts, to mend the rifts and bring them together? Or was he already in over his head? James had just taken a step closer when the girl's voice broke through the noise again. Loud and certain. If we don't work together, we'll never win. It's just a game, remember? Her words hung in the air, cutting through the tension with surprising clarity. He glanced at Lily, whose eyes widened as she took in this girl's impassioned plea. The boys faltered, confusion clouding their anger. Yeah, but he kicked it away. One of the boys protested, fists still clenched at his sides, the soccer ball a mere object of contention between them. And you kicked it into the bushes. The girl shot back, her hands on her hips. If we just argue, we'll never get it back. Remember what Coach said? Teamwork. We can do this. James felt a swell of something deep within him. This was the kind of leadership he hoped to cultivate in the school. He envisioned a sense of unity and collaboration. He took another step forward, feeling the pulse of the crowd pressing in around him. Hey guys, he said, his voice rising above the background chatter. What if instead of fighting, you all worked together to get that ball back? Lily stood beside him, her small frame filled with newfound courage. Yeah, you could team up. Just like she said. The girl turned to Lily, her expression momentarily transformed from defiance to surprise. You really think so? Lily nodded with a smile, emboldened by James's presence. The boys exchanged glances, uncertainty flickering in their eyes. Simon, what's the worst that could happen? James urged. You'll find that ball faster if you're all working together. Plus, it could be fun. Amidst the tension, laughter began to bubble up. The boys dropped their fists, slowly nodding in agreement. Hesitantly at first, they began brainstorming about who would search where, voices rising in excitement. Okay, I'll look by the trees. One boy called out, taking off toward the shaded area. And I'll check over by the swings. The other chimed in, enthusiasm growing like wildfire. The girl turned her gaze to James, uncertainty replaced by a glimmer of appreciation. Thanks for stepping in. I'm Emma, by the way. James, he replied, feeling a warmth spread through him. And I think what you did was really brave. The scattering of children dispersed around the park, searching for the lost ball. Joy infused the air once again, laughter harmonizing with shouts of encouragement. Emma turned to Lily and James, her voice earnest. Maybe we should all play together after we find it. That way, we can make sure it stays fun. I love that. Lily responded, her face lighting up as she finally found her voice in the group. As the search party ramped up, James sensed the community coming together in a way that echoed the dream he held close to his heart. This was more than just a school he wanted to build. It was a place where kids could learn not just about subjects, but about unity, teamwork, and understanding each other. But as he watched them scatter, the faint pang of worry returned. What if this unity didn't last? How could he help ensure that moments like this didn't slip back into isolation? Hey, can I join your team too? He called out as he jogged after the kids. I might be helpful in finding that ball. Lily giggled, her nervousness dissipating. Yeah, we can be a team, like one big family. Together they ventured off, their laughter filling the air. James felt a sense of promise blooming within him. Yet questions lingered. What if the lessons learned today began to ripple through the other aspects of their lives? As they searched, his heart raced at the possibilities. After all, every community faced challenges, but it was how they faced those challenges together that truly defined them. Just then, he noticed a flash of color stuck in a thicket. Hey, over here. But as he reached for it, the ball slipped deeper into the brambles. Was this the moment he felt them all come together? Or was he drawing them toward another challenge? The stakes just grew higher. Would everyone rally? Or would they retreat into old habits? James crouched low, stretching his arm into the thicket, but the ball eluded his grasp. The sight of it, bright against the dark green foliage, sparked a new surge of determination within him. It felt almost like a metaphor for what he was trying to accomplish, a bright, hopeful goal trapped within the confines of conflict, waiting to be freed. Let us try together, he called out, his voice ringing clear. The laughter faded momentarily, replaced by the rustling of footsteps returning to the thicket. Soon, Emma and a couple of boys joined him, each determined to reach what lay hidden within the brambles. Maybe if we push together, we'll get it, Emma suggested, her voice steady and encouraging. James felt a rush of admiration for her resolve. She was becoming a beacon for the other kids, and it wasn't lost on him how a simple moment of teamwork was bridging the gaps and breaking down barriers. He positioned himself in the middle of the group, forming a small circle, their hands reaching in as one. On three, shouted one boy, a sense of unity washing over them. 1, 2, 3. Together they pushed into the brambles, their fingers finally brushing against the textured surface of the soccer ball. Cheers erupted like firecrackers, each shout echoing joy and relief. It was a powerful moment, so simple, yet so profoundly impactful, that as they gently pulled the ball free, an instant sense of triumph enveloped them. James grinned broadly, heart swelling with pride. See, teamwork makes the dream work. The kids around him burst into delighted laughter, their earlier conflicts dissolving like mist in the morning sun. Emma jumped up and down, radiating enthusiasm. Now we can play. Let us show everyone how teamwork brings us together. James looked at Lily, who was beaming brightly. Her earlier hesitation had melted away, replaced by a joy that was infectious. He observed the mix of eager faces around him, each one reflecting a newfound sense of belonging, that as they headed toward the open field again, he couldn't shake that lingering thought. Was this emergence of camaraderie just a temporary relief? The world they lived in often had a way of reverting back to old habits. Wait, James said, slowing down to catch Emma's eye. What if we can make this more than just a game? What if we could turn every day into a chance for teamwork, for understanding? Emma and Lily exchanged curious glances, the spirit of possibility igniting in their expressions. What do you mean? Emma asked, tilting her head slightly. What if we organized games? Like every week? Maybe even with the whole school? He suggested, feeling ignited by his own idea. Everyone could join, and we could focus on playing together, not against each other. Lily's eyes lit up. That would be amazing. We could have different teams every week. The other children began to chatter excitedly, soaking in the vision of a school where unity wasn't just an occasional effort, but a consistent practice. But would their initial enthusiasm sustain through the challenges that might come? Just then, a shadow flickered across the field as a group of older kids approached, laughter trailing behind them like a wave. A ripple of uncertainty passed through the younger ones. James's heart sank. Would this new spirit of brotherhood withstand the usual rivalries and teasing? Let us keep it simple, he said as the older kids drew closer. We're all here to play. The older kids eyed the ball but had other things in mind. Change was hard, especially against the usual tides of rivalry that loomed larger than it seemed. As tensions rose once again. Would James's vision for unity be strong enough to withstand the storm? James stood his ground, the soccer ball cradled under his arm as he eyed the older kids. Their laughter was sharp, cutting through the moment of unity he had just helped cultivate. With their presence looming large, doubt began to creep into the hearts of the younger children. "Hey, what is going on here?" one of the older boys called out, his tone casual but laced with arrogance. He was the kind of kid who thrived on the edge of trouble, his friends flanking him like shadows. James noticed a few of the younger children stepping back, glancing around nervously. "Just some friendly game," James replied, trying to keep his voice steady. "We found the ball and we're about to play." The older boy smirked, taking a step closer. "What makes you think we want to play with you? You guys are too little to keep up." James's chest tightened. He could sense the fragile atmosphere shifting as Emma's bright smile faded slightly, replaced by an anxious frown. Yet he refused to back down. His heart raced, fueled by the possibility of losing everything he had just built in this moment of togetherness. "Maybe we can all play together," Emma piped up, her voice attempting to weave a bridge over the mounting tension. "It'll be more fun if everyone joins." "Fun? Yeah, sure. But we don't play nice," the older boy replied, crossing his arms over his chest, casually dismissing her suggestion. James felt a fire brewing inside him. "But that's the point. We can make it fun for everyone, no matter how old we are." Some of the younger kids watched him with wide eyes, as if their hope hinged on his next words. He had to show them that standing up was an act of courage, not recklessness. The older kids snickered, clearly unconvinced. "Why would we want to be stuck playing girls' games?" One of them shot back, laughter rippling through their group. For a brief moment, everything felt heavy. James glanced at Lily, who was biting her lip nervously, and then at Emma, her determination shining brighter than ever. The doubt that had crept in was now a challenge waiting to be faced. "Because games are for everyone," James said, his voice louder now, filled with defiance. "And if you want to be part of something bigger, like a team that works together, that just might be worth it." At that, a flicker of something shifted in the atmosphere. The older kids exchanged glances, some of their bravado faltering. "Whatever, we can show you how to play if you want," one of the older boys replied, trying to regain control. James could see it, an invitation wrapped in the usual bravado, but maybe the beginning of something more. "Okay, let us do it," James said, not backing down. "But if we're going to play, let us play fair. Let us not ruin what we started here." A thin veil of silence hung in the air. Then Emma stepped forward, filled with newfound boldness. "Yeah, let us make it a real game. With everyone on the same field," she declared, her voice ringing with unexpected authority. Before long, some of the younger kids started murmuring agreement, caught up in the excitement of the idea. Would they really have the courage to challenge what had long been accepted as normal? As the tension hung in the air, the first inklings of a truce reached out like hesitant fingers. Could this full circle of unity hold? Even amidst the faces of doubt? James felt his heart race. He was terrified, but exhilarated too. "So who's ready to play?" he called out, a smile breaking through as he tossed the ball high into the air, hoping it would land with a renewed spirit. But as laughter began to bubble up again, from the corner of his eye, James noticed a distant figure watching them, their face unreadable. Was this figure a threat to the fragile peace they were building, or a sign of something more? The answer loomed, and James's heart pounded, reminded that change was never easy. The ball soared up and then, with a soft thud, landed in the dirt, gathering a cloud of dust. Everyone's eyes were on it, and in that brief moment, the laughter and chatter faded. It felt as if the challenge hung in the air, suspended in time between confidence and fear. "Let us see what you got," the older boy said, a hint of mockery in his voice. He casually kicked the ball back to James, who caught it deftly, a spark igniting within him. "All right, let us set some ground rules," James proposed, his tone commanding yet inviting. He knew that this was a crucial moment. Everyone plays fairly, no pushing, no shoving. If one of us falls, we help them up. And no silly insults. If we're going to do this, let us do it right. The older kids hesitated, glancing at each other. James felt a surge of hope. Maybe they would listen. After a few long seconds, the older boy shrugged. "Fine, I guess we can start weak." James could see the expectation on Emma and the others' faces, a mix of fear and excitement. He took a deep breath, trying to bottle up the anxiety swirling in his stomach. Okay then. Teams. How about we mix it up? Some older kids, some younger. As he scanned the field, the air buzzed with anticipation. James felt like he was standing at the edge of something big. Let us divide by age. First 5 younger kids versus the 5 oldest among us. Ready? He called out. Sure, but we'll show you how it's done. The older boy replied, a smirk still plastered on his face. But there was a hint of uncertainty buried in his bravado that James clung to. As the game began, the energy shifted dramatically. Laughter erupted, voices cheering for each other. The younger kids were quick, their movements fluid and instinctual. James felt a rush of joy when Emma darted past one of the older boys, snatching the ball and dribbling it down the field. They were a team cohesive, fighting against the pressure of age and expectations. Each goal came with shouts and high fives, and James saw determination reflected in every young face around him. The fear of prior moments faded into the background, replaced by a resolute spirit. Yet, just as they closed in on what felt like a glorious win, the distant figure he'd spotted earlier turned and walked towards them, shadowed against the fading light. James felt a chill sweep through the crowd. Was this person a parent, a teacher, or someone they didn't want watching? As the game momentarily stalled, the figure's gaze remained steady, observing. All laughter fell silent, uncertainty clawing back in. James, who's that? Lily whispered beside him, clearly sensing the tension re-emerging. He shook his head slightly, not wanting to break the moment of courage that had just blossomed among them. I don't know, he said softly, trying to maintain the sense of unity behind the game they were playing. But the game felt different now. Eyes were drawn to the figure, uncertainty surfacing once more. Would they be met with disapproval? Or could they find strength in the face of fear? The fragile peace they had forged teetered on the edge. Come on, let us keep playing. James called out, trying to sweep the moment of doubt away. But he could feel the pressure mounting. Would this figure bring a storm to their little haven? Or did they see something special in their game, the promise of change? An urgent question loomed over everyone. Could they overcome the fear of the unexpected in their journey together? The figure stepped closer, revealing a middle-aged woman dressed in a fitted blazer. Her expression was unreadable, until she whispered into the ears of the elders beside her. The tension in the air tightened around everyone like a vice. What was she doing here? Hey, keep playing. James called again, his voice ringing with encouragement, his heart racing as he tried to hold on to the energy that had built. Emma glanced at James, her confidence wavering. Do you think she's here to stop us? We're not letting fear win, James replied firmly. He felt a sense of duty to shield the hope that had sprouted here among the kids. The joy of teamwork was at stake, and he would fight to protect it. As the game resumed, he watched as the kids rallied around one another, bouncing off the walls of their transferable fears and embracing the thrill of belonging. The older kids were beginning to let go of the need to dominate, and laughter echoed like buoyant seals, rising above uncertainty. Just then, that woman raised a hand, for attention, her voice cutting through the cheers. Excuse me, I need to speak with some of you. James stood taller, positioning himself as a buffer. Can we finish our game first? The woman looked taken aback, clearly not expecting such resistance. Your game? Don't you think it's time to prepare for reality? Reality? The irony of that word stung. Were they not living in it? He walked toward her, each step filled with purpose. This is their reality, and it's a wonderful one. Around him, children paused, glancing back and forth between the game and the confrontation before them. There's not a future without this, he said, gesturing to the vibrant play around him. You don't stop dreaming just because someone else thinks they know better. Her expression softened slightly. There was uncertainty behind her gaze. He sensed she grappled with tradition versus progress. But without structure, without discipline, Emma chimed in, her voice small yet strong. We can have structure and fun. We're building something here. We're learning. James felt a warmth spread through him. That girl's courage was infectious. We're trying to build a community here, he added. Not just a game or a school. We need understanding and space to grow. The crowd murmured, uncertainty lingering, but something was changing. The children were standing taller, voices mingling, desperate for recognition. and it cut through the seriousness of the moment like sunlight piercing clouds. With a hint of hesitation, the woman nodded slowly. Okay, but let us keep things in moderation. The world can be harsh, kids need to learn. James stepped back, content. And they will learn best when supported by community, not fear. The murmur transformed into excited chatter just as the ball neared James again. It had rolled back into play, and he tossed it high. Who's ready to take the shot? He shouted, encouragingly. Everything hung on that moment, the atmosphere alive with anticipation. Suddenly, laughter burst forth. Children rushed to reclaim the energy, their fears evaporating like dew in sunlight. The game ignited once more. They played fiercely together, united. James felt a wave of warmth surge through him. He was one of them, one with purpose, one with the community. Amid laughter and cheers, Lily found her moment to shine. She darted past an older kid, catching the ball, eyes gleaming with mischief. Goal! We won! She declared, tumbling and giggling unruly joy in the face of adversity. The game wrapped around them, fusing something magic amidst their shared energy. The woman watched in silence, warmth creeping into her stance. She had come to intervene but found herself captivated by the unity that wrapped around the children like a chorus, filling her heart with an unfamiliar lightness. How about that? Seems you're starting to understand real teamwork, she said, her voice now softer. James felt a rush of hope blossom in his chest. This is just the beginning. A playful, joyful start, letting our hearts guide us. Just then Emma, her cheeks flushed with excitement, piped up. What if we have another game next week? With everyone we can gather? A wave of enthusiasm broke out. Laughter and shouts echoed, bubbling over as the community expressed their longing for connection. You kids, the woman said finally, her resolve shifting, perhaps you might teach us adults a thing or two about this unity. With renewed spirits shining bright like stars, James turned back to the group of kids. His heart swelled, his hopes interwoven. They were building more than just a future. They were forging a family. And that mattered more than anything. James looked up to see the sun dipping low, casting colors that mirrored Lily's wild doodles on the sidewalk. The laughter carried on, the last notes of joy washing over him. As the sun finally set, he understood something profound. It wasn't he about what he could give. It was about what they could build together. The journey was just beginning, one step at a time, one dream at a time. And as he watched Lily leading the chorus of voices, he felt it then, a flicker of pure possibility igniting within the hearts of many. This was their moment. This was their victory. Subscribe immediately to the channel to not miss the next exclusive stories. You need to subscribe now. Leave a like now to feed the algorithm, it truly makes a difference. Comment your reactions and feelings about this ending. I want to hear from you. And don't wait not even one more second to share this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this transformation. This is the moment to show your support for the heart of our community.